Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're supposed to get a really bad storm later today in New York, so I figured this is a great time to pull out the solar panels and unpack the AllPowers R1500 Lite and put it to the test. Let's get it unpacked and take a look. Okay, so this is the R1500 power station by AllPowers. Let's just take a quick walk around and look at the unit and talk about what kind of ports it has and its overall functionality. Starting from the front, we've got two USB-A ports, the more traditional ones, followed by two USB-C. Now the A's are 18 watts, the C are 100 watts. Down at the bottom, we have four standard Edison 20 amp outlets, and you can tell it's a 20 amp by that crosshatch on the actual socket. We then have a DC output, and if we just take a look, that's your typical car cigarette lighter. Moving around to the side of the unit, I will tell you I really like this green color. It kind of complements it very nicely. Down here we have the input for the AC charge. We have a reset button, and we have a solar input, and we're going to be testing that solar input very shortly. And let's just pop this open and take a look and see kind of what we're working with here. That's all pretty standard, and I do like that it takes a standard computer type plug. Coming around the back, pretty uneventful. Top is pretty uneventful, and the side again just has the cooling fans or the cooling fins, which have a nice green accent. Now let's look at some of the specs of the unit just to kind of give you an overview. This is the R1500 Lite. It's a 1056 watt-hour battery. AC input is 100 to 120 volts. Solar input is 12 to 95 volts or 13 amps, a max of 650 watts. Now in terms of output, we've got our four AC outlets. Those can do 1600 watts max. However, you can surge to 3200 watts. In terms of the USB-A's, we have two of them, and those are 5 volts, 3 amps. And then in terms of the USB-C's, we have two of those. Those are 5, 9, 12, or 15 volts, and 3 amps, 20 volts, 5 amps. Max on the A is 18 watts. Max on the USB-C is 100 watts. And then we have our typical car port. Now let's go ahead and power the unit on and take a look at the screen. Now we are outside, so let's see if this is visible or if this is better for inside. All right, the screen came right on. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can get a better view here. Starting on the left, this shows you the capacity of the battery, 76%. It shows you input right now is at 0 watts, output is at 0 watts, and this shows us 5 days remaining power as if it were just in standby. Now I will tell you that will not last 5 days in standby because it does take power to run the circuitry, the inverter, the screen, everything else, but that's fine. That is to be expected. This button right here, which let me just zoom out a little bit. This button will turn on the DC. Then this button right here will turn on the AC. And as you turn it on, it will show you 60 hertz. It will show you all the ports are enabled. Guys, now the main reason we're filming outside today on this exceptionally hot and humid day is because I want to show you the solar panels. I want to actually extend them, open them up, and hook them up to the power station to see what kind of power we're getting in and roughly how long it would take to charge this. Now we are expecting a pretty severe storm, as I said earlier, and it is very overcast because it is going to storm later. But let's see what kind of power input we can get from these panels. These are 200 watt panels and they operate on about 36 volts. Now with the panels come all these accessory cables, connectors, and basically everything you're going to need to operate this and connect it to the AllPower station as well as many of the other power stations on the market. These come in the panel itself. On the back of the case, let me just turn it around, on the back of the panel is a nice storage pouch which has the built-in cables, the solar cables, and then you can also fit all these accessories back in the pouch. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move the camera, I'm going to get this out on the lawn along with the table, and I'm going to extend the panels. We're going to take a close look at it, and then we're going to plug them into the power station and see how they operate. Okay guys, now it is exceptionally overcast today and very humid because it is going to storm. But I've set the panels up for the moment against my garage. I've just kind of leaned them here against the side of the garage while sitting on a kind of an outdoor storage container. The panels are really light. Let's take a close look at them. I actually like these a lot. I like the design a lot. It was very easy to fold these out. They're not cumbersome and heavy. Like I said, the cables are built in. The panels have a nice carrying strap, and I'm just going to move this one forward so you can see the cables are attached. And also right here, this is a kickstand that has Velcro, and you can just very easily pull that out and extend the panels so you can set them up on your lawn and you can get the optimal angle at the sun to try to charge here. Now this is not the optimal angle but the grass is a little wet, and I figured this is a better location right now to kind of just test them out. Now I've hooked them up to the unit via the included cables, and we are plugged in to the solar in. And these are 200 watt panels, and when I first plugged them in, we were getting about 51 watts. Now it has dropped down to about 40 watts, but again, it is cloudy outside, so let's come back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to adjust the panels a little bit and see if we can get these a little bit higher. Okay, I want to show you that just making very slight adjustments to the locations of the panels really adjusts the input quite significantly. So we're pulling in 51 watts now just by simply moving the panels off of the storage container and putting them onto the lawn and extending the kickstands behind them. Now the more I move these around and experiment with the optimal angle, and the more I adjust this really to kind of where the sun is, which is up here, but again, it's very overcast today and it's being blocked by a lot of trees, but adjusting the angle of the panels really makes a huge difference. Now these panels are set up on the lawn with the included kickstands, and you can adjust the angle, you can adjust the position of the panels, but these are really easy to use. They're easy to store. They're not heavy at all. They basically have a case built into them, so you can very easily take these panels with the unit, which is not a heavy unit at all. That power station is actually one of the lighter ones, and you're getting a pretty high capacity lithium iron phosphate battery in the unit. Okay, now my plan is to leave these out here for about an hour or two to charge a little bit. Let's see where we're at on the power station, and then I'm going to bring it inside where we're going to actually run some tests on it. And I want to point out that the lithium iron phosphate battery, which this has, the LifePo 4, those are good for about 3,000 cycles or about 10 years of use before they reach 80% of their capacity. So you're getting a very long lifespan and a long runtime from these units. They also charge up exceptionally fast on AC power. You can adjust the input speed on this. I believe it's 400, 1,000, and 1,500 watts in. So you can charge very fast if you don't want to use solar, or if you had a larger solar array, or if you want to use house AC power, or even a generator or a car cigarette lighter. So let's go ahead and let this charge, and then we're going to come back inside and run some tests on the unit. Okay, so we're back inside, and what happened was I waited until the next day because it started to storm, and I brought the unit back outside with the solar panels again. It was a much brighter, sunnier day. And what I did was I got 150 watts coming in on the 200 watt panels, and that is really good. And I was able to top this unit up to 87% before I stopped and brought it back inside. So very pleased with that. And like I said, on the first day of filming, as you saw earlier in this video, it was incredibly overcast and was literally just about to storm. And I was only able to pull in 50 watts from the panels, but truthfully that is still really good considering what it was like outside and the significant lack of sun. Now this unit can surge to 3,200 watts just for a moment, and it can do up to 1,600 watts continuous. Now this toaster is about 1,800 watts, so it is far over the capacity of this unit for continuous wattage. So I'm going to plug it in, and what I expect to happen is that it will power the toaster very briefly for maybe a few moments, and then I would anticipate that it's probably going to go into overload and turn off. After that, we're going to move over to the coffee machine, because I think we might have better luck with the coffee machine. While I don't know its wattage, I think it's less than 1,800. But again, this is expected, and I want to show you that this device can surge even if it's momentarily before it does turn off if it's pulling too much power. A lot of folks show a light bulb, a phone charger. We know this can do that. This can power a light bulb and a phone charger all week long. But it's these heavier loads that I want to give a try. So let me just bring the camera in a little bit closer, and I think you can see on the screen we're at 87% battery, 60 hertz, no input, no output. Let's go ahead and turn the toaster on. I anticipate that this will trip off probably fairly quickly. We were pulling 1,809 watts, 1,832, and it tripped off. And that is expected. It did have the surge, but it was more than a surge. This just continued. So good job, AllPowers. I appreciate that it did turn off as it was intended to. Let's move over to the coffee machine now, see if we can get that to run longer. Again, I have no idea what that pulls, but let's take a look. Okay, I plugged the coffee maker in. Now this does have a heating element, although I really have no idea how much power this is going to use. So if we're 1,600 watts or less, I anticipate we can power the coffee maker. If we're 1,600 watts or more, we may not be able to. go. Let's see what we're working with. All right, let's see what we're pulling here. Right now it's pumping the water into the chamber. After that, it's going to fire up the heating element and we will see what we get. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what we're going to be getting here on the screen. Ooh, 1400 watts. That's a lot for a coffee machine. Now the fans have spun up, but I'm going to tell you they're not loud at all. I actually think the fans on some of my other units are significantly louder. So I anticipate that we should be able to make it all the way through this brewing cycle without tripping, because while we are pulling a lot of power and we're getting very close to the limit, we are not at the limit. And therefore it should work. And we should be able to get a cup of coffee out of here. Now, full disclosure, I did not put coffee in it. It's just water. But for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. Now, while that's pulling all the power, I'm just going to back the camera out here just a little bit because I'd like you to see, obviously, if the Keurig actually does what it's supposed to do. Oh, look at that. We're getting liquid out of the coffee machine. Dropped it all the way back down. Guys, I don't know about you, but that was a smashing success. It performed as expected with the Breville. It performed as expected with the coffee maker. And look, we barely used any power, and we were pulling quite a lot of power. I should say we barely used any battery, and we were pulling a massive amount of power, almost at 100% of the unit's, continuous capacity. So as you can see, you can easily make a cup of coffee during an emergency, during a blackout. You can make many cups of coffee with your Keurig. I'm very pleased with the AllPowers. Okay, now I want to show you just another feature here, which is using the app. And in order to do that, I'm going to connect to the app to the unit, and you have to press and hold the DC button for 3 seconds, and it's going to put the unit into Bluetooth mode, and you can tell because the Bluetooth icon comes up on the screen. Then we're going to come on over to the app, and as you can see, I'm sharing my screen here. I was able to pull the unit up on my phone, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and we should be able to connect to the unit now. And the reason I want to talk about the app is, at least for me, I wanted to change the AC input, because when I'm charging the unit, this can charge at, I think it's 400 watts, 1000 watts, and roughly 1500 watts, which is great because you can get this charged up really quick. But for me personally, I wanted to charge this a little bit slower. So as you can see here on the screen where it says work mode, if I touch the drop down, we have mute mode, which is basically the lowest charging speed. So that's 400. If we click on standard, that's going to take us to 1000. If we click on fast, that's going to take us to roughly 1500. I am setting my unit on default here to mute mode because I want it to charge at the lowest speed. Then we have some other options such as eco mode, which you can turn on or off. You can say if eco mode is on, shut down at 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 hours. And there's some other basic functionality that you can do here on the screen. You can see the input and output as the unit is being used. You can adjust the hertz from 50 to 60. You can toggle on or off the AC or the DC. So let's come back out here to the unit, and now that we've set this to mute mode, I want to show you how it's going to charge. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the cord here, and I'm going to plug this in. We're going to top this back up from 81%. I want to get back up to 100%. So let me just go ahead. Like I said, I previously charged this with a solar panel and was very pleased once I had a nice bright sunny day. So that is plugged into the unit. Let's go ahead and plug this into the outlet, and hopefully you can see on the screen here, now that we are plugged in, let's see what kind of power we're pulling in here. And now I kind of like the graphic, how it just circles around the percentage to show you that it is charging. And now we're slowly ramping up. We're at 143, 228, 307. This should kind of level out around 400-ish. 423, 408, 403. And I think that's basically where we're going to stay now, around 400 watts coming in, and it will show us that at this input in 48 minutes, we're going to be fully recharged, which I think is awesome. Guys, this is a really quiet pack. It does exactly what it says. So guys, as we are charging this back up to 100%, I think I'm going to wrap this up and I want to give you my final thoughts. I definitely recommend the AllPowers unit. It's a great unit at a budget price that doesn't break the bank. It does exactly what it says it will do. It powered my coffee maker at 1400 watts, so it keeps with its promises and it does what it says. We've got the DC input, we've got 2 USB-Cs, 2 USB-As, 4 AC outlets. You can charge it via solar with the panels if you get the panels with it. You can charge it via the AC cable, which we're doing right now. It's got the app. It's very quiet. And guys, the case is stylish. And of all the power units that I have, this is one of the lighter ones. Some of these units are really heavy. They're difficult to maneuver. I had no problems with this. It was packaged extremely well. I'm going to go ahead and post the link to this in the description below. I got it on Amazon. I would recommend you guys do the same. Pick one up if it's helpful. Leave a comment. Like and subscribe if this was helpful, and ask any questions. I own a bunch of power stations and I buy these to test them out, to try them out, and to use them. I actually use this stuff in my home. I take them camping. I don't just buy these to review, but I actually use the equipment that I own. So if I can help you by answering a question or performing a test for you before you go out and buy one, I'm happy to do so. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.